Hi, boys and girls. I'm back for your everyday math lesson. Today we are working on Unit 5, Lesson 11, the break apart strategy. This is a great strategy to learn, especially as you're trying to memorize and learn those higher math facts for multiplication, like the 7s, 8s, 9s. It's a way to break those apart into smaller helper facts that will help you solve the problem. So let's look in the box first at our story. It says you have a rectangular garden that is 7 feet wide and 8 feet long. You decide to plant flowers in one section and vegetables in another. Find two different ways you can partition your garden into two rectangular sections. And if you remember, partition means to divide something. And so we have a line that we have divided horizontally, and we have a line that we have divided vertically. So we're going to look at the one that's horizontal first. And basically, I've taken the number 7, and I'm going to break apart 7 into two smaller facts. So something plus something equals 7. And so I picked 5 and 2. So we're not going to be using the 7 anymore. We're going to be using 5 times 8, and then we're going to be using 2 times 8. And I'll show you what I mean as I lift this rectangle up and we look at it. So 5 times 8 equals, and remember, if you don't know, that means you can count by 5s 8 times. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So 5 times 8 equals 40. And then we do the other half of this side of the rectangle, which is 2. 2 times 8 again. 2 times 8 equals 16. Remember, if you don't know your 2s, you can also count by 2s 8 times to get 16. So 7 times 8 would equal 40 from this rectangle that we partitioned, and 16 from the second one that we partitioned. And when we add that up, we get 56. Now, that's one way we could have solved it. The other way we can solve it is to break apart the 8 this time. So we're going to leave the 7. This time we're going to break the 8 apart into two numbers. Remember, the two numbers have to equal 8 when we add them together. So this time we chose 3, and 3 plus what equals 8? Hopefully you said 5. So we have 3 and 5. So now I am going to solve this rectangle, this small rectangle, by doing 3 times 7. And then I'm going to do this bigger rectangle by doing 5 times 7. So if you look over here, I'm going to move this rectangle over. So we have 7 times 3 equals 21. 7 times 5 equals 35. So 7 times 8 equals 21 plus 35, which also gives us 56. And don't forget, if you're giving an answer, you would want to give it in units. So 56 feet is the correct answer. All right, let's look at another one and we can practice a little bit more. So here you have a rectangle. It says your friend wants to solve 8 times 9. You suggest that she picture a garden that is 8 feet wide and 9 feet long. You're going to help her break 8 times 9 into two smaller helper facts using the rectangular garden. So the first thing you're going to do is this. I will break apart the factor blank. So remember, the factors are the two numbers you multiply together. So one factor is 8 and one is 9. Which one do we want to break apart? Well, I have a line over here that is vertical. It's going up and down. So we're going to break apart the 9, and I'm going to break it apart into, we're going to plug in these numbers. So I'm going to break apart 9 into, and you have to think of two numbers that would equal 9. So I'm going to do 5 times 4, or not times, plus 4. The 8, I'm going to leave alone. So the factor 8 will stay the same, because remember, we're breaking apart the 9 into 5 on this side, 4 on this side. So now we're going to type some multiplication problems. So I'm going to type, I'm going to start on the left over there. The little piece is 4. So 4 times 8 equals 32. And then I'm going to do my second problem, which would be 5 times 8 equals 40. And then I would know that 8 times 9 equals 32 plus 40, which equals, and we're going to add those two together, which equals 72. So my answer that I'm going to put in this box down here is 8 times 9 equals 72. So all you're doing is breaking apart one of these factors, either 9 or 8, into two smaller numbers. So we did 4 plus 5 equals 9, and then we just wrote multiplication problems for those. So let's look at another one. We're going to divide this one horizontally this time. It says break apart one of the factors to solve 6 times 7. So here are our two factors, 6 and 7. This time I'm going to grab the line this way, and I'm going to break it apart like this. And I think we'll try to break it apart pretty even. So we're going to break apart the 6. So I'm going to type that. I will break apart the factor 6 into, and I'm going to do 3 and 3, because I know 3 plus 3 equals 6. And I'm not going to do anything to the 7. That's the factor I'm going to leave alone. So the factor 7 will stay the same. So we simply start building our problems. So the first problem will be, instead of 6, remember we've gotten rid of 6, so we have 3 and 3. So 3 times 7 equals 21, and 3 times 7 equals 21. And then I'm going to say 7 times 6 equals 21 plus 21, which equals 42. So then we're going to come down here and fill in our answer in the red box. 7 times 6 equals 42. So now you're going to get to do some of that same practice. I've created some slides for you that you will do. You will have a direction slide that tells you to look at each rectangle. You're going to decide which factor you will break apart. You're going to move the line you need to break apart that factor, and then fill out each square with the correct numbers and solve. So let's look at the first one, and I'll kind of walk you through it. So I have two lines here. You can either choose to break this 8 apart into two different numbers, or you can leave that line alone and you can use this line and break it apart this way. You decide, you put the line, whichever one you want to use, and then you tell which factor you're going to break apart. So if I use this one and I break apart horizontally, I might want to break apart 6 into 4. This big part might be 4 plus 2, because I know 4 plus 2 equals 6. So then I'm going to break apart the factor 6, so that'll go in the first box, into 4 and 2. And then my factor 8 will stay the same. So you're going to do that for each problem. You're going to solve for 8 times 6. You're going to solve for 6 times 4 and 9 times 7. If you aren't sure, go back and watch the video again to help you with the practice.